Democratic Congress's General Secretary, Fifi Kwete, has introduced what he terms as a Rise for Ghana series. Well, this is a thought-provoking online episode, short broadcast aimed at addressing critical issues relating to leadership, governance, values, attitude, and also actions that shape national development. In the inaugural episode, Fifi Kwete made a call on Ghanaians, starting with the NDC citizens, to arise for Ghana and, embrace the weighty responsibility of nation building. We hear from, of course, the General Secretary shortly on this. Before, though, we take a look at the first episode of the Arise for Ghana series.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Arise for Ghana series. It's a series meant to speak to all patriots of the land. Arise for Ghana stands for the very first words of the NDC anthem. So this is actually a series to make a call on a weekly basis to all patriots of the land, starting with the members of the NDC, and through the members of the NDC, reaching out to all Ghanaians, even including MPP people, calling on them to arise for the nation and become much more patriotic for the nation. The NDC anthems not only call for people to arise, they actually calls people to arise for Ghana, patriots of the land. It tells you that's a party whose main concern is to raise people who love this country, who are patriotic, who put this country first. So this series is going to be one that on a weekly basis we'll be looking at different aspects in terms of raising the consciousness of our people, making us love our country more, become much more dedicated to our nation. The very first for today starts with a call to arise for Ghana. Now what we are asking for here is simple. It's a nation that is reached across crossroads, a nation that is calling on all its children to think about our situation. That situation is calling for a new leadership, a leadership that will be concerned about the well-being of the country, a leadership that is aware that the youth of the country are losing hope in the political establishment. And that has come about because of breaking of promises, a policy that is not just about power for the sake of power, politics that's not looking at the well-being of a nation, not thinking about the future of our children. NDC wants to rise to that next level, a level where politics is not just be for convenient grabbing of power, but politics is concerned about having leaders that can be trustworthy, leaders who can be relied upon to put the well-being and the interests of the people of Ghana as number one. We were the first party in the Fourth Republic, formed on 10th June 1992, way ahead of the NPP. And when we were formed, we came up with this anthem that said, "Arise, arise for Ghana, all patriots of the land." We are the real patriotic people. We are the people who love this country. And if there is any group that has to rise in this moment of the darkness that's engulfing our country, this is the NDC. So this is a call to you, millions of supporters out there. That's a moment for you to rise to the responsibility that Ghana is calling for.
Okay, so that's the General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Kwete, joining us via Zoom. Also now to have a conversation on this. Nostalgic feelings for those who've followed your political career reminds them of setting the record straight. What's different now that you're, changing nomenclature for some and going in for a rise for change? Are you bringing the same energy on, or perhaps something new? Hello, sir. I hope you can hear us, and if you can unmute so we can get the point.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, loud and clear.
I hope it's okay now.
Loud and clear, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, and I want to use the opportunity to greet all your many viewers in Ghana and beyond the country. I want to thank you for the opportunity to interact with your wonderful channel this afternoon. To your question, I would say Arise for Ghana, as I rightly indicated, is the very first line of the anthem of the NDC. So, if anything at all, that should be the very primordial call that the NDC should be making, because that really is essentially who we are. And the fact that we transcend just a political party. We are a group that believes that the number one thing should be the country. And where it is we have reached today as a country, there's no greater call that is necessary now than a call for us to rise in order to see how this country can be salvaged, in order to rise to the new challenges that confront us, in order to give new hope to especially the young generation of our country, and not just Ghana, but all over Africa, who are beginning to lose hope in the whole political journey, especially the whole democratic journey. And I'm sure you are aware of what is happening all over the sub-region, and even now going into Central Africa. So it's almost becoming difficult across the continent now, where people are losing. And there's a need for us who find ourselves leading political parties to start rising to a whole new challenge, and also being able to take the country along with us. So this series, Arise for Ghana series, is in that direction. It's literally emphasizing the very core spirit of the NDC, and also reaching even beyond the NDC to all patriots of the land. Actually, even reaching across even to the MPP and calling on MPP that, listen, this is the moment for us to rise to the higher level for the sake of our country, to rise from the mediocrity and move into a competition that can become a much more excellent competition, to move to a place where the concern is not how to destroy each other, or how when you take power you destroy every institution or every institution of the country just so that you can consolidate yourself, or how you can pervert and corrupt institutions, or how you can destroy the businesses of your opponents, all in a desperate effort to think that that's the only way you can survive. But we should go to the next level, where the concern is about what solutions can be brought, what levels of creativity we can bring on board, what you call levels of genuine values, principles, where character becomes central to what we do. So I think it's a time to move into that next dimension, right. And NDC want to be the party to lead that.
How do you respond to critics who say that if there should be a cause or a call for patriotism, it should not be coming from an opposition political party, the largest NDC, which is lacing its boots to come into power? Some say this may simply be reduced to a partisan exercise. How different will Arise for Ghana be in that context?
It will be different in one respect. It's not just going to be the typical NDC is good, MPP is bad. That's not what it's going to be. It's going to make calls even upon NDC. It's going to call on us as a party to have a proper review of our own journey, and to acknowledge certain things that we could have done better, and to tell our people that we are not perfect. We need to make effort to become perfect, because Ghana is not just interested in just NDC is good, NDC is bad, MPP is bad kind of narrative. Ghana simply want the two parties to rise to levels of excellence that no matter who is in power, the country is better off for it. So we are going to be challenging our own selves. But of course, we are also going to be calling out on our opponents, because we feel there are things that they clearly have to do much, much better, especially now that they are in charge of the destiny of our country. They are managing the resources of the country. They are the custodians who are directly in charge of the things that are happening to our country. So naturally, we will make those calls when we've got to make them. But at the same time, we will be calling upon ourselves as well to be able to do better. Because as I indicated in this very first episode, the youth of our country are beginning to lose hope. And they're beginning to lose hope because somehow they are thinking that all the political parties effectively are the same. Seeing, for example, the pervasive, should I call it, breaking of promises that has happened, especially under the tenure of Nana Akufo-Addo over the last 7+ years. Naturally, these youths are becoming increasingly disappointed, seeing the kind of difficulty that this economy and the country as a whole has been plunged into, this pervasive loss of hope. So this is not just going to be one that we say we are perfect, we haven't done anything wrong, or we never do anything wrong. No, we're going to shine the light upon ourselves as well and say, listen, we can do better, while at the same time calling on our opponent to be able to also rise up.
Yeah, and I guess if this is boiling down to, the economic performance of the country, and the president is the first to admit that there are challenges, just at the last 2 weekends exercise by the NPP to choose a new leader, the president is confident that the nation will reflect and then choose a leader that will get us out of the challenge that we're facing. It appears the president is on your side on this. So is there any need to remind perhaps government of their responsibility?
In truth, what Arise for Ghana will be doing also is to call on the political establishment to show much more candor, much more truthfulness. Now, the president has still not been able to have the moral courage to accept that the bulk of the problem we have in our economy today came because of his economic mismanagement. That himself and his vice, who today is looking like the front runner as far as the race in the NPP is concerned. The two of them single-handedly have been the major reason why we are in the difficulty we have. They've not had the courage to accept that. They still continue to deceive the country that the real problem has come from COVID in Russia and Ukraine. That again is a problem. Arise for Ghana is saying the politics of deception must be over. The courage to accept responsibility should be the new way to go. Nobody is expecting perfection from leaders. But leaders have to be able to show to the country that when it is we get it wrong, we must have the courage to say, no, well, I got this wrong, and I should be able to do better. But it's almost as if there is such moral cowardice. People do not have the courage to say, no, well, I've got this wrong, I can do better. They simply can't do that. Even athletes have the capacity to say, no, well, this game I didn't play well. I should have done better. I should have passed the ball better. I could have scored this one better. Or I should have caught this ball better. Even athletes have that. And people who are in charge of destiny of a nation lack the moral capacity to accept responsibility and think that you can continue deceiving a country that the real problem has to do with COVID and Russia, Ukraine, thinking that the millions of Ghanaians do not have the capacity to know that you are lying. That, again, is some of the issues that Arise for Ghana will be raising. It said, gone are the days when you think you can fool the people by lying to them. We need to now have leadership that has the moral capacity to tell the truth. And once you start telling the truth, you are capable to bring the country with you. You are able to mobilize people with you because they appreciate that you are not lying to them. So that is one of the things that Arise for Ghana will be going into. We'll be delving a lot more into all what I consider to be character defects that should not be part of leadership. We are not asking for perfect people. We are not asking for angels. Both NDC and NPP are made up of humans, and therefore there will be imperfections. But there are certain minimum requirements that both parties must not tolerate. And we'll be highlighting a lot of them.
Well, it's just starting. We wait to see what the next address will be. But also within your political party, some say that you have quite a lot on your plate as the General Secretary. Your party is also running other programs similar to news conferences addressing matters of national importance. Are you up to the task?
Yes, of course. As you know, I mean, we have a lot to do. As we are preparing, for example, to move into limited registration exercise. That's going to be a very massive exercise. We're having our issues with the Electoral Commission, so we haven't completely resolved some of those issues. We think, for example, that that's one institution, for example, that, and again, Arise for Ghana will be talking a lot about some of these institutions that have effectively become perfected institutions. Institutions that are simply, institutions that think that their job is simply to become appendages of the ruling party. Do things that will make the ruling party happy. No, your job is to do professional job. You are here for the state, not for any political party. And we'll be calling on some of these institutions to have to do what is right. And NDC will be expecting that if we are in power, we expect institutions to do what is right as well. That's the only way we are going to be making the progress that this country requires. When people will appreciate that they are not placed there to become servant to a political party, but they are placed there first and foremost to make sure the interests of the millions of Ghanaians continue to be safeguarded and also generations unborn.
Okay, this sounds like a national exercise. Let's see if you'd maintain that. Fifi Fiavi Kwete, thank you for spending some time with us.